And how wonderful that Catherine's banners match the song. Who'da thunk? Here we are. The theme this month for February is Love is at the Center, ... ellipsis, because we're going to fill that in as we go along each week. And Love is at the Center of the Heart is the topic today. But first I want to thank John Boyle for being our guest speaker last week, so that not only to uplift everyone and to remind, so you could see who it is that's teaching the self-mastery class, but also it gave me the opportunity to go away. I had a 3-day transcendental meditation residence course. And so I drove to Menlo Park, and it was an extraordinary event with a very difficult reentry coming back into the real world, because it took place at a monastery, a Catholic monastery, and so I was asked to honor certain rituals or routines, such as their lights out are at 10, no electronic devices. What? Not even to have chimes or time my meditation? I did slightly cheat. I texted Don when I got there to make sure, he knew I was safe, and the next night to make sure all was well. But it wasn't about phone calls. I even brought my iPad to write, and I chose to not do that. So it was a very deep, extraordinary process to be in meditation for hours and hours and hours with people, and to be in this gorgeous monastery, and then to come back is like, what? So I think that it's been an interesting reentry process, and I don't know if that has part of the reason why I sound like I do, and why on Thursday night or Friday morning in the middle of the night, boom, a giant fever and cough and this whole process. So it may be a detox, I don't know. But yes, that's why I sound like this, and why I have a cup of hot tea, so that I don't cough in the middle of your service today. So I thought I'd explain that part. Hafiz, mystic that he is, wrote, "Awake, my dear, be kind to your sleeping heart. Take it out into the vast fields of light and let it breathe." Oh, yes. So today, being Love is at the Center of my heart, seemed appropriate because, well, it is Valentine's week, as anyone who watches any television commercials, sees any ad knows. This is, commercial week of buying things. And it is also a week where we're concentrating on the heart, the idea of healthy heart, loving heart, and what we get to do. So hence the red, hence the heart. And so I thought, well, we're focusing on heart, and I don't want to talk about See's candy and chocolates and things. I don't want this to be a week of forced, premeditated consumerism. I really want it to be a week of invitational, internal feasting. How's that? Does that work? Oh, okay. All right, so I thought, well, what heart? If I'm going to talk about love is at the center of the heart, and most of us, when we think about heart, we grew up as kids, thanks to Valentine's and all of that stuff, we learned that love comes from the heart. We think about this organ as being the organ of love. And so I thought, okay, now that I can go back to my iDevices, I went back to the internet and I said, so tell me about the heart. Here are a couple of interesting heart facts. The average adult heart beats 72 times a minute, 100,000 times a day, 3,600,000 times a year, and 2.5 billion times during a lifetime. Quite industrious. Every day, the heart creates enough energy to drive a truck 20 miles. And in one's lifetime, that's the equivalent of driving to the moon and back. Because the heart has its own electrical impulse, it can continue to beat even when it's separated from the body, as long as it has an adequate supply of oxygen. I thought that was kind of interesting, not only medically or physiologically, but the idea being, when we think about the heart and love as extending beyond the physical form, that thump-thump of a heartbeat that we're used to listening to in a stethoscope or in movies is the sound made by the 4 valves of the heart closing. Plato theorized that reasoning originated with the brain, but that passions originated in the fiery heart. So way even back to people like Plato back in ancient times, they thought of the brain as logical and reasoning, and the heart as a place of passion and love. A woman's heart typically beats faster than a man's. Tell me something I didn't know. Oh. The heart of an average man beats approximately 70 times a minute, whereas the average woman, 78, average. Just put a woman in front of a certain opportunity or visual thing, it beats a lot faster. Grab a tennis ball and squeeze it tightly. That is how hard the beating heart works to pump blood. Isn't that interesting? I mean, many of us who have used that to kind of strengthen hands and do muscles, but that's what it does. And then I will end with one last trivial thing that I believe is humorous. French physician René Laennec, 1781 to 1826, he was the inventor of the stethoscope, and it was because he felt it was inappropriate to place his ear on large, buxomed female patients. Chivalry and efficiency about the heart. So, and isn't it funny, it was a French physician? Oh, madame, let me check. Oh, no, I cannot. Okay. So that's how we all have the stethoscope. Thank you, Dr. Laennec. David Simon writes, love takes us out of the mundane and into the magical and miraculous. Love expands our sense of self, which once expanded never returns to its original state. I'm going to read that again because it's really significant. Love takes us out of the mundane and into the magical because it is miraculous. Love expands our sense of self, which once expanded never returns to its original state. Ooh, 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 ooh. So, if you take that first from maybe the sentimentality idea of love and Valentine's and romance, and all of those times, even you, Charlie Brown, where you sent out a Valentine, you had unrequited love, and that was difficult and painful, yes, and we've all been there. The idea being that you never return to your original state because you had the courage to expand yourself in love. Wow. Therefore, every act of love, every feeling of love, not only is it a healing tonic, as I talked about in meditation, but it expands yourself, capital S with the little s inside, it expands yourself in such a way you never go back to being the same person again. So that got me to thinking, well, what is it and why is it that we don't do that more often? So I'll go to a very popular quote that was written by Rumi, the mystic poet. He's a Persian mystic. And his quote is, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all barriers within yourself that you have built against it." Now, isn't that funny? Now, as a kid, it might be hard to explain that conceptually about when you have a crush on someone or you want to send a Valentine or, new love. But the idea being that we don't have to go out and seek for love. Don't tell anybody at Match.com this. You don't have to seek for love. You already are love. And if you can get to that place where you move away any thought, pattern, belief, or the litany of history of the broken hearts that stand in the way of you being love. Now, I want to move it out of just romance and sentimentality and Valentine love, because our being is total love. That's what it's all about. And yet, whenever we have been hurt, whenever there has been an injustice, whenever we've felt a sense of betrayal, often what happens is a certain layering and a shutdown of the heart. And we temper our love. We start to not be the loving, unconditionally beings that we were birthed and meant to be, but we start to temper it by, I'll give you a little more love if I make sure I trust you and know that everything's okay, and you're not going to hurt me again, are you? Oh, no, you can't have that. Can't love. I'm not going to love you or you because you did this to me, you hurt me, you did that, whatever stuff is. And so out of a sense of survival and self-care, we think, we start to shut down the heart and we, kind of cordon off the love valves, the love rays, because we've been hurt. We don't want to be hurt again. Hurts. So we think, okay, no, I'm not going to love. Even though the idea of that greater sense of love that comes from within, that comes from spirit through us and as us, is the natural order of our being, we continue to put clamps on it, like those things you put on garden hoses that stop the flow. I don't know what they're called, but it's something that stops the flow so that you can have it on there, and then the flow is in there, but it clamped off, and the water doesn't come out. Well, I think that what happens is whenever we get hurt by someone, and again, it doesn't have to be romantic love, when we get hurt by someone, we go, oh, I'm not going to do that again, clamp. And we go on through life and do things, and we'll love a little here, and it's easier to love some family members, and it's easier to love children and animals or certain things that we love. So we start to have this, like a rationing system of when we're willing to love, thinking that that's okay, because, well, I want to love. I want to be loved, so I'm going to love this way. But I'm not going to love over there because that's where I got hurt the last time, so we got a wall. Emmett Fox, who was a New Thought metaphysician and a great author and speaker, said, if only you could love enough, you would be the happiest, most powerful being in the world. If only you could love enough. What does that mean? What that means is, the way I'm translating it, where I'm going today, is if you could do as Rumi said and remove the barriers, forgive those injustices and injuries, so that the heart is open all the time. E.T.'s heart light. Remember, how many of you guys remember E.T.? I know I'm talking 80s. Throwback Sunday. 80s. E.T. shined that little heart light all the time. And when there wasn't the ability to love, he started to kind of dehydrate. He kind of started to disintegrate. Because what he knew was how to shine that heart light always. But we as humans along the path we've had instances where we have justifiably just closed off the heart and said, well, maybe not. Maybe if you're really good. Let's just see how this works out. And maybe I'll let it shine just a little. Well, maybe not. What we don't understand is that we are stopping the flow of God. Even though rationally, as Plato talked about, in our brains we're thinking, oh, no, we're just rationing that love for these people who were so mean to me, but I've got tons of love for all of you over here. Well, the universe doesn't know the difference. We talk about the idea that God always says yes. So how is the universe, God, Spirit, call it what you will, going to know, yes, we can have love, we can give and receive love, but not over here. Not allowed. But didn't you say you wanted love? Yeah, but remember him? So the universe is at cross purposes. We're at odds. So we often wonder, well, why is it my life does these kinds of roller coasters? And I believe it's because we have forgotten how to breathe and be love. We set up parameters and conditions. I had heard about this in our magazine circle on Thursday, and then I did some more reading, and there's an author named Anita, I hope I pronounce her name right, Moorjani, and she wrote a book about her near-death experience called Dying to Be Me. And it is a woman who was working to heal herself of cancer. And she wrote this book, and what she said was, when I am love, notice she didn't say when I'm in love, when I am love, I don't get drained and I don't need people to behave a certain way in order to feel cared for. They automatically get my love as a result of me being true to myself. She goes on to say, I knew that was really the only purpose of life, to be ourself, to live our truth, and be the love that we are. Now, I doubt that this lady was a religious scientist before her experience, her illness, and perhaps maybe not even after she started writing this book. So you don't have to qualify it as metaphysical teaching or science of mind. What you have to go to is truth. There's a thread in all commonality of truth that rings no matter what faith or practice. And here's a woman talking about a near-death experience by which, what did she get really simply? That all is love. That I'm here to be love, breathe love, give and receive love. And when we hear that, we kind of smile. And of course, there's a certain quality in us when we hear about her particular story that got her to this idea. You know, we feel something for her, an empathy. And then we think, yeah, love, this is really good. It's really, yes, and it's love, and it's Valentine's. And then 5-10 minutes from now, we'll go out into the outside or even here. It can happen even in the center. Oh, no, but it does. Someone will do something and you go, what? What were you thinking? How could you? Do you, and you go, ouch. And what happens when you go, ouch? And since it is a muscle, it tends to respond by habit. You know how when we build and we pump you up? bump you up. Well, muscles respond by habit. So if you have a habit of shutting down when someone hurts you, even though you come to a center like this and you take classes and you read and you do all that and you go, no, I am love, God is love through me, love, love, love. So we have to do what Rumi charges us to do and find a way by which we can take away, remove, dissolve, eliminate, forgive, bless, and otherwise let it be gone, those things that stand in the way of our being unconditionally loving. Unconditionally loved, including and starting with, well, sometimes it's harder to start with, but you're going to get back to it, oneself. But I can't unconditionally love myself. I didn't accomplish this. And I weigh this much. And I don't have that much in my account. And I don't have a date for Valentine's. Are all the things that we fill in for why we can't be loving or aren't loving or aren't feeling the things in our life. And sometimes we equate the fact, well, I'm working on health and well-being over here, or I'm working on finances and money and prosperity over here, but my love thing is good. No, I'm fine with love. But if you are not being loving of those things, whichever one it is for you, then you have dehydrated the ET heart light, and you're going to have trouble in relationships, health, money, pick whatever topic, subject. So what I'm saying to you is, you may say, oh, I don't have to worry about love. I've got a wonderful spouse or a wonderful partner. I've got wonderful fur friends that, live a great family. I'm fine with love. Relationships are great. But you're cutting off the heart space, the heart light of love towards your work environment or towards your finances. You're going to feel the pinch. So this sounds really corny, sounds really, you've heard it, it almost sounds, forgive me, I don't mean this in a wrong way, but it sounds like a Hallmark or a Sears commercial or Kay Jewelers or whatever all the other stuff is. Love, 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 you've got to be love. One with God is love. Yes, 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 but why aren't we doing it? I don't expect an answer now, but a 250 word page double space would be great if any of you have that idea. But the point being, you don't have to report that to me. That's a homework assignment for you. If there is somewhere in your life that you are still shutting down, and maybe you're not shutting down, maybe you just have like a film, like a sheet there, so you can, opaque, so you can sort of see in, sort of see out. So, it's not like the walls. It's not like, you have shut it down and mortared it close. You have something that's like, well, just if it works out and I trust that person and all is well, then I will pull aside the drape and then my heart will love. I'm saying pull aside the drape now. Osho says, remember the emphasis on the heart. The mind lives, and out of the heart lives in trust. When you trust, you suddenly become centered. Oh. Well, I don't know how often people equate love and trust. I don't know if I had before. Of course, in certain actions or behaviors with people, you would think, well, if I trust you, I will open myself up to you. I will give you more of myself. But I don't know if we've always, or at least I haven't always, equated love and trust. I have equated love with safety, which is, I guess, the same thing as trust. And we say quite often when you come here, it's on our programs, it's on our website, whoever you are, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. You are safe and you are loved. What does that mean? Well, when I put that together, what it meant was some of you have been in this teaching for years. Some of you have been here a couple of months. Some of you may be here for the first week or two, but you're drawn to the teaching, you're drawn to the vibration here, whatever that is. Some of you have all kinds of letters after your name, PhD, LMNOP, RSP, all those things. So you have these accomplishments. So you think that you have it all solved. Well, wherever you are, whether you're brand new to this teaching, or you're really wise and have all of these titles, or you're somewhere in between, but for whatever reason, you find yourself on your knees on the floor of life because there's stuff happening. You are safe and you are loved. You're safe, meaning we're not going to judge you. Hey, come on, you've been going to this center for 10, 15 years. What, you don't have it by now? That's not here. You are loved because that is the intention that is set in everything that we do, including, for those of you who don't remember, when we moved here and before we got this all, it's painted on the walls and the floor of this stage. There were a bunch of us who we had to get a certain kind of writing implement, I remember, so that the paint would adhere over it. And we wrote on the walls, on the floor, affirmations, blessings, words and qualities of God like love, joy, peace, etc. So it's intrinsically woven into the fabric of this center. So wherever you are in your spiritual journey, wherever you are in that adventure called life today, you are welcome here because you are safe and you are loved. And if at any time you're not feeling that safety, that trust, or that love, breathe. You must first look within, not at us, not at the externals, whether it's here at this center, at home, at work, etc. If you are not experiencing the love, the love that you seek, your charge is to go back within and uncover whatever it is, whatever barriers, whatever layers, whatever situations that protected the heart so that you aren't loving. Now, here's where it works equally. That's not me saying the responsibility is on you. We can just stand here and, oh, it's your fault. There's not blame here. Because while you are doing that work, because you're not feeling the love that you're seeking, or you read about, feel, and hear, we have to do the same thing. We don't get like a special pass here. Oh, you're a minister practitioner, you don't have to do that. Chances are we're doing it 3 and 4 times a day, each prayer, moving to that space of whatever it is that gets in the way of us feeling and knowing the greater love of God. Love God. Love is the way. So here we go. You know, we're in this month of February where around the country, the world, everybody's wearing some sort of red or pink, hearts abound. Romantic music, dinner reservations increase. Florists probably love Valentine's, as do the candy shops. And yet, of course, the world's changing, but we grew up in that concept of those are the tokens and demonstrations thereby to show love, you know. Bouquet of flowers, box of candy. Well, I want you to go in there and buy things in our bookstore today. And I also would love for you to gift your loved ones a little more of your heart. That doesn't mean you have to buy them something. Doesn't mean you have to necessarily write them a letter, a love letter, although that would be nice. I really miss written cards and love letters and things. Thank you, I love my internet, but ooh, that would be nice. I'm saying give more of your heart. It can be a private, quiet job. You don't even have to be in front of them to make that happen. But they'll feel it. I guarantee they will feel it. And you know what could even be more fun? Because the chances are you think you have to buy a Valentine or give a gift for your family or your spouse and those people that are close to you. Pick one of those, what was that campaign, Random Acts of Kindness? Here's where we could do that. Pick 2 people in your world, not a spouse, not a family member, not a beloved minister. Pick 2 people in your world. One that you kind of think you have that veil over, and one that you just think is the sweetest, dearest person in the world. It could be your bank teller. It could be your postal carrier. It could be any of those people. And then that one that you don't feel all warm and fuzzy about, give them the gift of your love this week. In any way, shape, or form you want. You may gift them. You may decide to send them a card. You may decide to buy a wonderful gift, piece of jewelry or something. You may choose to do that. But I'm asking for a deeper assignment. I'm asking for you to go within your heart, and when you think of that person, or you get to see that person this week, and you know you're not in a state of love when you're with them. You're not in a state of at them, but you know who I'm talking about. When you see them, from inside, if you're good at visualization, see them bathed in pink soft light or hearts all around them, sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. If you're not good at visualization, set that intention and vibration. And when you see them and you start talking to them and you can feel yourself doing this, you know, when you start to back up, you don't literally back up, but because you're putting distance, because maybe they're saying that same thing they always say that drives you so nuts. You have to breathe. And I want you to know and choose to expand your heart and just to be like that from your heart. Defenselessness, undefended, unprotected, and love. Breathe from the heart at that person. As I said, it'll probably be a little easier with that one that you just think is so sweet and you always want to do something nice for them. That's easy. But I want you to gift love this week to two people that aren't on your Valentine's list, that deserve that awareness, because underneath all of that is the gift of love that you give to yourself by doing it. So basically, I'm asking you to give yourselves a big Valentine. Yes, you still have permission to take yourself to the movie, out to dinner, buy a bottle of wine, a bubble bath, whatever it is that, makes you feel loved and soft and warm and cuddly, whatever, that's fine. You may still choose to do that for yourself. I encourage that. Don't wait for someone else to, buy that Valentine or get you that gift. Do that for yourself. But this week, since you're sitting in this center, which is a new thought center based on ancient wisdom, you're here. There's something calling to you at a deeper level. Listen to the call of your heart and give yourself the gift of love by removing one of the veils, one of the walls, one of the barriers. You got awfully quiet. Good. My plan is working. Wouldn't that be funny if there was somebody that's like, ha, 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 I'm going to get everybody to love one another. You think of the Wicked Witch of the West saying those evil things. No, I want you to love. I am probably going to so resent that I did that when I see it on YouTube. Can you imagine somebody's just clicking, you tell one of your friends, hey, check out our minister, watch it, one of the talks on YouTube so you can see what she's like, and she's going, ha, 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 ha. Okay. It said somewhere, one of these quotes, about being your authentic self, and you get my love, It was the author, Anita Moorjani. They're automatically getting my love as a result of me being my true self. So being one's authentic self can be tricky and feel that way, but that's the goal of the underlying assignment this week. Give the gift of love by being your true self, which means somewhere this week you're going to remove one of those veils, one of those layers, and be your authentic true self, because there's safety, trust, and love involved. And because your heart counts on that for you. It beats to the vibration of that. It calls to your soul and your heart in a greater way. So all I know is now we need to pray that. We need to, you have enough of the head stuff. You've got your assignment. Let's do our spiritual mind treatment and set it into motion. So as we breathe and get ready for our closing evocation and prayer, I will remind you of Rumi's quote, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." So I take the proverbial metaphysical magic wand, if it were to exist, and I just wash it over all of us. so that we now have permission and a clear, open field by which whatever barriers existed, real, imagined, protective ones, hardened ones, any of those now are being dissolved in this instant. And because where two or more are gathered, and we are gathered here, and there are more two than two of you here, we have that combined consciousness by which we are in agreement to dissolve those barriers. And so what I know as I speak the rest of this prayer in first person is that there is only the life of God, and that life of God is love. And there is only the heart of God, and that is my heart. For I am one with God. God is one with me. There is no separation, no duality. And so I claim and know for myself today, just love. No conditions, no colors, no shapes and sizes, no names attached to that. Just love. 4 letters that evoke one of the most powerful experiences in the universe. And so I breathe in that love. I let that love breathe itself as me. I let my heart just beat into the vibration of that love, and I feel its warmth. I feel its happiness. I feel the glow. And then I stand as this beacon where I radiate this love of God, and I just shine it on everyone I meet. Everyone. And then I stand in front of the mirror of my soul, and I shine that love light into the mirror, and I let it radiate back at me, so that when I look into the mirror of my soul, the love of God looks back at me and smiles in sweetness, in appreciation at the beauty, at the perfection. Unconditional love. And so I know that that is the Valentine I give myself this week. And by giving myself the Valentine gift of love, unconditional love, I can give it to anyone, anywhere. And it's an unlimited supply. I can give more, and then it replenishes, and my heart gets Grinch size 5 times more, and there's more and more love to give and to receive. And that is the vibration and the intention that I choose and set for myself this week. I claim it for myself, for my loved ones, and for anyone within the sound of this voice, not my voice, but the very resonance of spirit that speaks this truth so that all may hear it and heed it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How good it is. Love leads the way, I follow. I lead the way because I am love. So I now wrap up this service now, and I just give it as a gift and a Valentine back to God and say, thank you. Thank you, thy will is done. I am grateful. I am loving, lovable. I am loved. Please join me as we say, and so it is, and so I am, and so we are. Amen.